Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about the myths and future of leading. Ooh, ladies and gentlemen, we need to think about this. And thankfully, here I have a special guest, Jesper, that is going to help us think about this in a way that will keep us thinking. So, thank you so much, Jesper, for coming on to my show, sharing your time and perspective with me and my audience. Let's go ahead and dive right in. When you hear the word leading and leadership, what does that make you think about?
Absolutely. First off, Mitzi, thank you for having me. Now, with leadership, as the title of today's episode suggests, there are myths about it. And the first myth I want to talk about is leadership. Upon reflecting on it, leadership is actually not personality. People, many people believe leaders have this great sense of charisma, energy,
Yeah.
enthusiasm. But when people talk about personality and fall into that trap of only personality, I tell them, well, if you're looking for personality, maybe you want a leader from the Jerry Springer show. That's a lot of personality there. Do you want someone like that leading your organization?
No, not at all.
So
I think that's a great point because people do, when they think of leadership, they do think of it as a personality, as something that comes off very natural. Like you have to have this natural leadership. You always hear those words combined together in a sentence. But in actuality, that's not always the case because
that's
you can see it in real life and you can also see it in movies and in TV shows and sitcoms where they display a moment where the person that was the coolest or the one that was everybody loved never actually took the initiative to lead or to help or to gather up the people together to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? It was always that one person that was shy or timid or that one person that knew the knowledge but just didn't have that courage to step up. And those were the ones that always showed great leadership. Am I right?
That's right, Mitzi. And you brought up such a great point. Especially, I've seen so many introverts that don't get the opportunity for leadership because people don't see that potential in them. But in reality, leadership is having those great ideas within you, that talent to really show a new way forward. And when we fall into the personality trap, people miss that. So when it comes to leadership, I want everyone out there to give everyone an equal chance, even introverts who don't really open themselves up so readily available, but at the same time, they might have the next great idea within them.
Absolutely. I think that's another great point that you brought up about introverts because I consider myself an introvert and I know so many other introverts out there that they are so brilliant. Oh my goodness, they are so brilliant and the capabilities that they can do and contribute to this world is amazing. But the only problem is that exposure or that just surroundness that causes their battery to drain. It sucks them away where that leadership position will rather be, oh, you know what? Take it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else. But when the moment comes to, I know that usually the introvert is the one that'll step up and do the right thing. That's what I've noticed. So I guess my question to you is when did you realize that leadership in your life needed to change?
That's an interesting point. It reminds me of just the story of leadership within my own life in general. And it all starts with a memory. And it
Mhm.
was a memory that my mother shared with me a couple of years ago. And
Okay.
interesting is that I don't even remember that childhood memory. But growing up, when I was about maybe 5 or 6, I told my mom, Mom, when I grow up, I want to be a leader. When I grow up, I want to be a leader. Now, when you think about it, that's really adorable for a 5 or 6 year old to say that they want to be a leader when they grow up.
Super
But
adorable.
when you reflect deeply, you realize, wait a minute, what does a 5 or 6 year old know about leadership? Such an
Yeah,
advanced topic. I might as well have said, Mom, when I grow up, I want to study macroeconomics.
I
Because
know,
you think
right? I
about
want to
such
be
a,
a
yeah,
exactly so specific. Like I want to study quantum physics. Like, no, you wanted to become a leader. It's like, okay, as a mother, I would be like, okay, baby, you go ahead, you be a leader. But it's like, how do you really be a leader?
that's right. So great point. But back to my story growing up in the world of leadership. And then over time, I just realized different leadership opportunities fell into my lap. Always encouraged to volunteer, help nonprofits. After graduating from college, I was actually promoted to a leadership role where I was supervising my own team. And
Nice.
then I was inspired by that, that I went back to school to get my master's degree in leadership. So I was collecting just more experiences and insights into leadership. And as far as realizing when my leadership needed to change, I realized that leadership is not a one size fits all. How you
Right.
treat one person will not always be the same as the other person. And I learned that uh, in my first job. And then over time, as I became more aware and took different types of assessments, there are ways to be more effective, and that is to be more adaptable and
Yeah.
realize the different situations that are around and the different types of people. And as the platinum rule goes, treat others how they want to be treated. And then as I
Yeah.
learned that, that's when I learned to be more adaptable and open to what other people can contribute to the world.
Yeah, yeah, that is a great point. And I think that's interesting how you say treat others how they want to be treated. You know, you putting in the word they instead of I, that's a big difference because how you want to be treated is not always how others want to be treated. So when you are able to in tune yourself with other people and pick up how they learn, pick up how they receive information, how they interact with the world, then you're able to actually understand how to convey what you need from that individual to do the objective for the company or for the project or whatever the case may be. So that is a very great point, along with adaptability. Oh my goodness. Yes, that is one thing that I claim and I stand by. Being adaptable is such a big thing. It's kind of like being like a chameleon. You know what I mean? You got to be able to switch colors at any given moment, or like an octopus where it changes textures and colors. You never know what's going to happen, but it's that emotional intelligence part of it as well, because it's like picking up cues, knowing when to talk to somebody and when not to talk to somebody, and when to know when somebody's not ready to receive information, if they're sad or if they're going through something. Those are the great keys of being a leadership because you're able to be relatable. And when somebody's relatable at a higher position, you unfortunately to say you get more respect. You know what I mean? I say it's unfortunate because people don't see it like that. You know what I mean? They see if you're harsh and and you inflict fear and a rigid schedule, you're going to create respect, but that doesn't create respect. So I've learned that the other way through leadership is such a powerful way to get people to actually do something. So I think that's great thing. So what does the future hold for leadership?
Absolutely. So Mitzi, you brought up so many great points. There was one point I'd like to get back to with,
Yeah.
the different colors and the just the different ways of interacting, especially when it comes to the world of leadership. People have so many different ideas and
Yeah.
different ways in contributing. But us as leaders, we should be open to listening and giving everyone that space to really put in what they want to share with the world and express what's on their mind. That way, we can see the broad world of what everyone can offer. So, let's see, such a great
Hmm.
point that you brought up earlier.
Yeah, it is a great point. I love the last point that you added, how it broadens it up. Yes, because it just shows how everybody has a way to contribute to society, to the world. It's like leaders are able to see things in a grander scope of things. You know what I mean? We really have like this open mind because there's nothing that no one can't do. You know what I mean? The possibilities are endless because we are so optimistic. So I guess back to my question, what does the future hold for leadership then? Because it seems like it's endless.
Absolutely. So, with the future of leadership, as I was doing my research, there are three insights that will shape how we lead in the future. The
Okay.
first insight is that teamwork is going to be absolutely much more important. And the
Yeah.
research I pulled from that is from Dr. Scott Page from the University of Michigan. And he
Okay.
says that the world's problems are going to be so much more complex that it's going to take more than one person to solve. So, for example, if you look
Yeah.
at our history, if you look at the past, 2 plus 2 equals 4. We already know that. The
Yeah.
wheel, that's already been invented. The
Yeah.
car, that's already been invented.
Mm-hmm.
Flash forward to the future, or even the present day, cryptocurrency and
Yes.
blockchain technology, it's ever more complex. Cloud
Yes.
computing, ever more complex. And
Mhm.
artificial intelligence, that's becoming
Very
increasingly
complex.
complex. So as
Yes.
we look at the issues that we're dealing with today and into the future, no one person can solve it on their own. So that's where
Absolutely.
teamwork comes into play. So to be an effective leader, really embrace teamwork. Uh,
Yeah.
the second insight is something called amplified identity. And that research comes from Rohit Bhargava in his report called the Non-Obvious Report. And he says that when you look at specific examples, like people posting on social media, you're seeing more and more people really show more of themselves, post selfies, for example,
Yeah.
and really what they're doing on the day to day. And what that means is that people are finding more opportunities to really show uh, more about what their passions and interests are. And what that means as a leader, with everyone wanting to express their individuality, you want to
Yes.
be more open to listening and really
Yes.
giving the opportunity for everyone to really be that individual and show what they can offer to the team as a whole.
Hmm.
And the third insight for the future to be effective as a leader. Now, there's something called the conceptual age. There were two pioneers, but the one that really stands out is Daniel Pink. I think his book was called The Right Brained Mind.
Okay.
In his book, he talks about the conceptual age, where if you want to win the hearts and minds of people, it's no longer about statistics, no longer about the facts, no longer about the figures, no longer about the data. It still plays a role, absolutely. But if you
Hmm.
want to win the hearts and minds of people, it's all about the storytelling, the creativity, the imagination, the dreaming. That's
Hmm.
really going to get into the heart. So as a leader, you really want to appeal to people's imaginations instead of relying on the hard facts and the statistics. Still very important, but if you want to win the hearts of your team, really dig deep into their purpose and passion.
Absolutely. And I think that goes back and tying in back into the amplified identity because oh my goodness, what a great you give three valid great points. But man, the amplified identity in the conceptual age really highlights the teamwork because we all have to work together. And when you amplify each of our differences because it's available, if you really wanted to go that extra mile, you can find out what Susan wants. You can find out what Jake likes. You can find out what Isaac is into. You know what I mean? You can find out all these random people and what they're really interested in so that you can make it more engaging or more interesting for them to be a part of whatever that they need. And I think just taking those few extra moments to just look into that research can make a such a big difference where you don't feel like you're working and doing like slave work or just oh you're exhausted and you're just there for a paycheck. You're there because it's your second home. You're there because it feels like a family. You're there because you feel acknowledged, accepted, and valued, and you feel belonged. And when you have that components, money doesn't matter anymore. When you have those components in a facility, in an environment, in a community, oh my goodness, people will stay just out of loyalty. You know what I mean? So it makes such a big difference. And it sucks that time is catching up to us. So, what can be some lasting words of wisdom that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Absolutely. So, but before that, there were so many great insights that you just shared, and the one I want to share is with that sense of belonging. That's why employee disengagement, when you're looking at it, I believe Gallup recently released a report showing the numbers, and only about 33% of employees are engaged at work. So that's less than one third.
Yeah.
And when we dig in deep into the research, it's because this sense of belonging, it's not where it needs to be. If we provide a community within our organizations where people feel like they're part of something, like they're
Yes.
being supportive, like they're being supported, like they're being included,
Yeah.
that's really going to engage them into putting
Mhm.
their best foot forward.
Yeah,
So,
I
such
like
an
that.
excellent point.
Yeah,
And
so
then,
what could be some lasting words of wisdom to leave us off with then?
absolutely, there is a quote from John Maxwell that's really resonated with me. And he said, helping other people grow and develop brings great joy, satisfaction, and energy. And I'll say that one more time. Helping other people grow and develop brings great joy, satisfaction, and energy. So, for all
Exactly.
the leaders out there, I really want you to be intentional about the growth and the development of the people who are on your team and really make the effort to see what's possible and help them reach new heights.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great point. Oh, goodness, this was a great conversation. I feel like we were able to talk on this topic very well, where people can really resonate with this and ask themselves, do I really have these qualities? And if you don't, go check it out. Go check Jesper out on his website. I have on my own right there under his photo, just right there. And it goes out to him. And you can find all the greatness that he has to share with the world so that you can keep on thinking on this matter because everyone has a leader inside them. You just got to pull it out. Just pull yours right out because it's in there. Don't be afraid. So, with that being said, always keep thinking, y'all. Bye.